Hello everyone, welcome OVR staff to my presentation today. My name is Greg Shirk. I'm the supervisor for the Special Programs Unit with the Bureau of Workforce Partnership and Operations here within Labor and Industry. I'm really happy to have this presentation available for you. Today's agenda, I will first talk about the Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program and then follow up with federal bonding. I know many of you have heard of both of these programs, but I'm going to give you some more up-to-date information. That's why I'm presenting these PowerPoints out there. And I think the information I will provide today will really give you a leg up with getting your participants hired and out there in the working force. Okay, what is the Work Opportunity Tax Credit? And if you don't mind, I'm going to be referring to it as WOTC throughout the rest of the presentation. WOTC is a federal program, not a state program. And what this does, it provides a tax credit to employers who hire certain individuals, including veterans. There's 5 different veteran target groups and other target groups. And we will get into details more later on those target groups. Some of the highlights for WOTC. This program saves employers money. That's why they're so interested in the program. What happens is when an employer hires somebody who is a member of one of the target groups for WOTC, and if they work at least a minimum of 120 hours and qualify for that target group, what happens is the amount of that target group, let's just say it's for $2,400, that reduces the employer's federal tax liability by that much when they go to file their income tax at the end of the year. Now just imagine if they're hiring, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people all qualifying for this tax credit, it's really going to save them some money. Employers can submit an application for every person they bring on board, every new hire. There's no limit. I suggest employers, when they actually begin to interview somebody, to have that person fill out the paperwork. Because if they're on the fence with 2 qualified individuals and they see one answered yes to some of the questions, the other one didn't answer it, they may want to pick the one that did answer yes, because again, they can save that money. Any size employer can take advantage of the WOTC program. We get thousands of applications, from Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, all those big box stores. But I'll give you an example of a small mom and pop shop. We have Hornung's Hardware, family hardware store right down here on 2nd Street, downtown Harrisburg. Mrs. Hornung's been doing the program for quite a while. She's very happy with it. It saved them a lot of money. And when I talk about small mom and pop, I'm talking small mom and pop with Mrs. Hornung. They hire maybe 1 to 2, 3 people, and that's how many people they keep on board at a time, maybe 2 or 3. But she's really, really happy with what we've done for her, and I know she's out there spreading the word to her friends. Okay, another big, huge highlight here is qualified tax-exempt 501c organizations are now eligible to claim the WOTC credit. Only one caveat, though, they can only do that with hiring a veteran. Now, I know a lot of your participants, OVR staff, may have been veterans at one time. So again, you can submit the application, even though they're working with OVR counselor, you can submit a veteran application to any one of these 501c tax-exempt organizations. Okay, the non-veteran target groups, like I mentioned, we have TANF recipient, which is cash recipient. We have long and short-term TANF groups. We have a SNAP recipient, which is formerly food stamps. Summer youth. We have designated community residents. Those are folks living in Warren and Venango County, and also individuals who are living in or around the Philadelphia, Camden, New Jersey area. There we go, vocational rehabilitation referrals. And we have ex-felons. I also have the supplemental security income recipient, and a brand new one from 2016 actually is long-term unemployment recipient. Now, veteran target groups. We have a veteran or a family member who receives SNAP food stamp benefits for at least a 3-month period during the 15th month period ending on the hiring date. Now you're probably saying, what the heck is he talking about? Well, all you do is on the hire date, you go back 15 months from that hire date, and if that veteran or family member received 3 consecutive months of SNAP food stamp benefits, they will qualify for that target group. We have 2 disabled veteran target groups. One, a disabled veteran hired within 1 year of discharge from active duty, and then a disabled veteran unemployed for 6 months or more. Then we have 2 different unemployed veteran target groups. First one being an unemployed veteran for at least 4 weeks up to 6 months, and an unemployed veteran for 6 months or more. What's the definition of a veteran? Well, it's any person who has served on active duty in the United States Armed Forces for at least 181 days. Now that 181 days or more cannot include training time, you know, their basic training, or in the Army we call it AIT, Advanced Individual Training. That's where they learn their job. That training time does not count towards the active duty time, 181-day requirement. Or it could be a person who served on active duty in the Armed Forces, but now they are collecting compensation for service-connected disability. Now I have the or there because that 181 days is out the window if that veteran is collecting compensation for service-connected disability. I mean, they could have been in for maybe 2 months, a week, whatever. If they're receiving that compensation for a service-connected disability, they would qualify as a veteran. And one big difference here between the vet reps out there and this program, veterans who received a dishonorable discharge are still eligible for the employer to receive the credit. Who's not eligible? Well, of course, relatives and dependents of the employer. Rehires. Doesn't matter how long ago that employee worked for the employer, could have been years, does not matter. Rehires are not eligible for the credit. And lastly, majority owners of the business would not qualify for the credit. Okay, excuse me, I'm showing you the minimum and maximum credit amounts for each one of the target groups. Remember in the beginning of the presentation I said to receive the minimum credit, they need to work 120 hours. Well, in order for the employer to receive the maximum tax credit for that target group, the employee has to work maximum 400 hours within the first year of employment. Now that's not calendar year. Let's say the employee begins work October, November, they're not going to reach the 400 hours by the end of December. What happens is we just carry it over into the next year, and then the employer would claim that credit for next year's taxes. And you see most of them $1,500 all the way around there, but then you have a long-term TANF, that's $9,000, that's collected over a 2-year period. Now we got several more non-veteran credit amounts, here we go. Again, minimum $1,500, max $24. Now let's move on to the veteran credit amounts. As you can see, it's a pretty big significant change. You know, of course, we got the minimum, the $1,500 as in the other target groups, but look at the maximums there, $5,600, $4,800, and in disabled veteran unemployed 6 months, $9,600. That's a lot of money. So again, if your participant that you're working with happens to be a veteran and you think he qualifies for one of those target groups, you can submit that individual for 2 different target groups, OVR referral and veteran. That doesn't matter. What happens is when that application gets submitted into our system, and let's say he qualifies for OVR, and then he also qualifies for one of the veteran target groups, our system will determine that application for the higher credit amount target group. It's an automatic thing. So that's why I say if he is a veteran, that person is a veteran out there, your participant, submit for both target groups. Okay, tax-exempt organizations. You see the amounts there again. We have the minimum 120, maximum 400. But here, remember now with the for-profit, it reduced their federal tax liability. With tax-exempt 501c organizations, those credit amounts reduce the Social Security tax that organization pays for that employee. So it's kind of a little bit of difference there. Okay, how do the employers file for the credit? Well, there's 2 forms that are needed, an IRS form 8850 and an ETA form 9061. These forms should be submitted electronically within 28 days of the employee's start date, and that's through CWDS. Now, you'll see there I have highlighted in red a 9062 form. This is one of the big reasons I'm having this presentation sent out to everyone. If you don't mind, I'm going to leave my presentation here for a moment or two. I'd like to actually bring up on my screen the 9062 form. So if you bear with me for just one moment, please. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you should see up on your screen what I was talking about, the 9062 form, and the title of that is a Conditional Certification for the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. So basically, this replaces the 9061 form. So when you're working with your participants, give them the 8850 and give them this 9062. They can take this with them when they go on interviews or any time they go to talk to an employer. This form is conditionally certifying that individual for the tax credit. And this, I think, would be a huge benefit for your participants. It's like saying, hey, hire me, I'm going to save you some money. So that's why I thought this is really important to get these presentations out here. Now, this form is very easy to fill out. Included with the email from this recorded presentation are all the forms that I'm mentioning throughout this presentation, plus some more informational forms along with these. So here, box 1, disregard. Box 2, you would check the SWA because you're a state workforce agency. Skip down to box 5, you'd put your name and your address. You'd sign in box 6, your telephone number block 7, and then moving on down to the participant's information. Block 8, you would put your participant's name, last, first, and middle initial. Now, their social, I recommend wait till they get hired. They can fill it in then with the employer. Over here for the target groups. Now remember I said you can submit, if your participant is a veteran, you can submit for both voc rehab and that veteran target group. So here in block 10, you would want to write Group E, voc rehab referral. And then moving down to block 11, participant's address to include telephone number. And then block 12, if your participant is a veteran, pick 1 or 2 of these veteran target groups. I mean, it could be a veteran receiving SNAP, and it could also be a veteran unemployed, for so long, or disabled. So you could pick 2 of these if you like, as well as voc rehab. And again, right here's a little postmark for you. Now, the applicant, your participant can sign the form before they get there. They can do it after that. That's solely up to you or the participant. Now, once the employer hires the individual, they would fill in their information down here in blocks 15 through 21. Their name, firm of address, position, job title of the participant, start date, starting wage, employer's name, signature, and the date, and that's it. It's that easy. So again, along with the 8850, you give this form to the participant, the 9062 Conditional Certification. This is really going to help them find employment, give them a heads up over other participants who will not qualify for the tax credit. Now, if you give me a moment here, I'd like to go back to the presentation and finish up for you. Just hold on a minute, please. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We're back here at the presentation. Now, again, remember, these forms can be submitted or should be submitted electronically within CWDS. Now, if you do find one of the small mom and pop employers like Mrs. Hornung, we do allow them, they can mail the forms in. We can't make them use the computer, so that's fine. They can mail them in. But again, if they choose to mail those forms in, the postmark date on the envelope must be within 28 days of the start date. Now, that's calendar days, not business days. If it's not, the application will be denied. Now, when the employer signs into the company profile on CWDS and they go to the tax credit application screen, at the very bottom, once they're done filling out all the information, they would click on the Submit Application button. What that does is that would create the that would create the postmark date. So that way we know the application was submitted with 28 days. That's a very important thing they must follow, or the applications will be denied. Where can they get the forms? Well, of course, they can call into my office. We would gladly fax or email the forms. What they can do is go to CWDS. Up in the right-hand corner, you see the Help icon. Click on that, and they would look under a list of miscellaneous documents. And then there you'll see a file for Work Opportunity Tax Credit, WOTC, and, of course, federal bonding. Not only will the forms be there, there's other informational paperwork there that may be very helpful to these employers. But again, they can always contact my office or give me a call, and I can email the forms to them directly. It's no problem at all. Okay, second topic for today's presentation is the federal bonding program. This program has been around for 54, 55 years, and I'll tell you, a lot of people don't know about it. I know some of you have because I've talked to you about it, but I'm hoping this may help out some of your participants as well. What the program does, the main objective for federal bonding, it helps at-risk job seekers find employment. And it also gives an incentive for employers to hire those at-risk job seekers. Now, who am I talking about at-risk? Well, again, most of my bonds are issued to ex-offenders. Doesn't matter the offense. It could be a felony, misdemeanor, whatever. It does not matter. As long as they have something on their record and the employer feels they would be at risk hiring that individual. Let's say a bank or a grocery store wants to hire somebody to be a cashier and that person filed bankruptcy. Guess what? They're considered at risk to the employer. They're eligible for a bond. Recovering substance addicts, they're also eligible for a bond. And again, there's that dishonorably discharged from the military. Again, anybody that the employer feels they may be at risk hiring, they are eligible to receive a bond. Also, if you have a participant out there who is being promoted and their promotion has increased monetary responsibility, say they're going to be taking over the payroll, or the equipment they're going to be operating is worth a lot more money, or something like in those stages, they are also eligible to receive a bond on the date that they receive that promotion. Okay, what are the highlights of the federal bonding program? Zero cost to the employer, zero cost to the job seeker. Zero, it's free, completely free, and no paperwork to complete. Now, prior to a couple months ago, I had all the paperwork to complete, basically filling out the forms, mailing it in, and so forth. Now they've made it so easy. I log into a website, ask how many bonds I want to purchase for this employer, click on that. I fill in all the information, the employer's information, the employee's information, click the submit button. Within 10 days, that bond certificate is showing up at the employer's address. It's that quick and easy. Now, in that bond certificate, or actually in that packet, will be the actual bond for $5,000, as you see at the bottom note there. And also there'll be instructions on if they would need to file a claim if the employee did steal from them property or money, and also if they wanted to extend the bond for an additional 6 months. The first 6 months is on the Commonwealth. If the employer wants to do for an additional 6 months, they would go through the union insurance group, and the instructions, like I said, are in there with the bond certificate in the package. And the cost of that additional 6 months varies between participants. I spoke with the union insurance group rep. They told me it goes by the job responsibilities of the employee and also what past offenses or why they feel they're at risk. There's no deductible. It's zero, not like your homeowner's insurance or car insurance. There's no deductible at all. Oh, I skipped over one, no waiting period. As soon as that phone call is over, that bond is issued. It's in effect immediately. Now, even though it's going to take up to 10 business days to get to the employer, that bond is effective the day I click submit on the program online. Again, the bond is good for up to $5,000, protects the employer against theft of money or property, and it's good for 6 months. Some of the restrictions. Yes, of course, we have to be of legal working age in the state of Pennsylvania. The employee also must be paying federal taxes through their payroll deduction. The job has to be at least 6 months in length. I can't use a 6-month bond on a job that's going to be just 2 or 3 or 4 months. It just wouldn't be feasibly possible for the Commonwealth to do that. And of course, self-employed individuals are not ineligible to receive the bond. Okay, the issue process, I mentioned that to you a couple slides ago. The employer calls me on the person's first day of work or the first day of promotion. I complete the online request form. Usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes easily. And then again, the employer receives that federal bond packet within 10 days. Okay, this wraps up my presentation. You'll see my contact information is there on the screen, my phone number, email address, and also the resource account for the tax credit section. Now, when you're working with your participants, and I know a lot of you out there talk to the employers, please do not hesitate to give them my personal email address or my personal phone number. I love talking to employers. I will help them get set up with making a company profile on CWDS. I will talk them through submitting the applications. I have desk guides available with screenshots. It shows them step-by-step how to submit that application online, also how to create the company profile. I'm here to help them, and again, please do not hesitate to give out my information. Just so you know, I work from 7 to 3 every day, so if the employer happens to call close to the 3 o'clock time period or after 3 o'clock, I will call them the next business day. I do return calls within 24 hours. But again, please give out my information. And if you ever have any questions about either one of these programs we talked about during this presentation or any details about anything, please don't hesitate to call me or email me. I'm here to help you folks out as well. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation, and I hope this information can really help you get your participants hired and out there in the working force. Thank you so much and have a great day. Goodbye.